Are you missing out by not buying today? That is the question. Stick around and watch. This is Kasama Lee, your community realtor. As you know, the mortgage rates are still the topic of the 2025 so far. Everyone wants to know, how are the interest rates doing? How's the market doing? Is the interest rate going down? Is it going up? What's the rate doing this week? What's the rate going to be doing next week? What was it doing a month ago, right? Don't you hear that all the time? Well, even though there has been proven statistic facts that there is not a direct correlation to the interest rates, which is what the feds do, when they have their meetings and they determine on what the interest rates are going to be, not a direct correlation to mortgage rates. However, there's sort of a flow between the two, the interest rates and the mortgage rates, every time that happens, okay? I know I'm being really vaguely as clear as possible since I don't control the rates. I'm part of this housing economy that we're in right there with you, so I get to watch it all the time. And we get to see that interest rates have been doing some interesting things. Before I continue, if you find this type of content valuable, you'll want to hit, subscribe, and the bell notification so you don't miss future videos. You certainly don't want to be left out of what's happening, all the hottest and greatest updates that I bring on a weekly basis to the consumers. Thank you for sharing, commenting, liking, and subscribing as it continues to support and grow the channel so that we could get to more people to be more equipped and more aware of what's going on in the marketplace. All right, now I'm going to show you a chart that you're going to see right now. Currently, we're in quarter 2, 2025. As you can see, we are currently at an all-time low in mortgage rates as of August 2025. And you can look at the chart here. We are currently at 6.55% in mortgage rate. Well, while that may not sound all that exciting because we've been lingering in the sixes and at one point as high as 8% not too long ago, we are still moving in the right direction at 6.55, as you can see, okay? Now, that may explain why we're seeing more buyers creating activities, offers are being accepted. Even in some cases, actually, for a couple of our listings, we have actually received multiple offers. Oh my goodness. Multiple offers are back. Not like 15, 20 offers, but still more than one offer if you price the property well, okay? So that is happening. With the way interest rates are going, we're probably not going to likely see interest rates being at 6% anytime soon. It's already been kind of predicted that interest rates are going to be very likely maybe at 6 or mid 6 in 2026. That is 6 months from now, and we already can see that there's not going to be much change. The magic numbers, according to National Association of Realtors, where the buyers are going to come back on board, pulling the trigger, and there'll be more healthy activity of home buying, is actually, drum rolls please, 6%. 6% flat. That seems to be the calculation that's where buyers, the majority of buyers, feel like they can actually afford to buy a home, okay? But here's the thing. So let me just show you the number on the screen here. 5.5 million more households could afford the median priced home at 6%, and roughly 550,000 people would buy a home within 12 to 18 months when the mortgage rate hits 6%. So the question is, does it make sense then, if you are a home buyer, to wait until it gets to 6%? Well, the bigger question that I would turn around and ask you is, what would happen when 550,000 people feel like they can now get back in the game and buy because we hit 6%? as you can imagine, there would be a greater rush of demand for housing. What that means is now you're going to get more multiple offers, bigger numbers of multiple offers. It could be 5 offers. If you're one of the 5 offers, only one person gets accepted, right? Do you remember this was happening when we were coming out of the pandemic? Well, if that's the case, you have competition. Hello, buyers. It's no longer going to be an advantageous market for buyers when you have to compete, because that means you got to come in with strong offers. Yes, you get a lower rate, but guess what? When you have multiple offers, they drive the offer prices up. Now you're paying more at a lower interest rate. Which is better, I wonder? Versus if you buy now, and yes, the rate is, like I said, 6.55 currently, but you have less competition of other buyers because the other 550,000 people, remember, we talked about that, are not back in the game yet. Why would you not want to pull the trigger now? And then when the rates drop, you can try to refi and get out of that when rates are maybe a couple of years from now, hopefully, right? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Head towards 5%. That maybe is the time that you can refinance and get the long-term rate that you really want. The advantages as a buyer that you have now at the current market mortgage rate is that you have less competition. Prices are kind of, at a stable point. Some of them, you have seen price cuts as well. So if you're in the Vallejo area, you should be seeing price cuts, right? Now, it's different in all the different areas, but we start to see price cuts. What that means is there's a better opportunity for you as a buyer to be able to purchase at a lower asking price. In some area, there might even be seller's concession that you could negotiate, right? So I'm not telling you that that's a flat out, straightforward, you're always going to get concessions. Every case is different, and you have to listen to your competent real estate agent who's going to guide you through that process. And every seller has a different temperament. Not every seller is willing to concede, okay? So you have to look at all of the different pieces that you have the benefit of taking advantage of the opportunity now versus waiting until rates drop and everybody wants to buy, and now you're competing with the other buyers. So which is better? Should you wait and gamble the fact that you may not be one of the offers that got selected in the multiple offer situation? Or should you execute now? Pull the trigger, do the thing, get into home buying, get the keys, and then refi out later. Which is it? Which one are you? Which side of the fence are you on? Wait and see, or do it now and then benefit from the lower interest rates later? You decide. Thanks for hanging out with me, and thanks for watching. Join us on September 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in American Canyon for a home buyer workshop. Please RSVP. Space is limited.